Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking a
categorically,
question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can
No,
you
I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today and thank you for networking this information to all those you know and love. And that's the key, folks. That is what the globalist cult fears the most. You bringing information that your friends and family and loved ones will never get through the bought-off lamestream fake media. You see, they want people comatose. Actually, they want them more than comatose. They want them non-existent. And what keeps people alive and prospering and growing are facts and data and truth. And that's why the cult and their minions will do anything and everything to suppress those of us that bring you facts and truth and data and science. It's your lifeblood. And they know it. And that's why they've declared war on the few of us in the independent media that are not controlled opposition. You want an example of how you know somebody is in controlled opposition is look at how they're suppressed. Look at how they censor a number of us. Look at who got thrown off of Twitter. Look at who is either thrown off of YouTube or throttled to the nth degree. Yeah. Look at those that are suppressed on Rumble. Oh, yeah, it's occurring there too. Oh no, it's an Oh, yeah, no. Look, unless you're some of the chosen few on Rumble, your content's buried. See, folks, they want you uninformed, misinformed, disinformed because it makes you an easier target. It makes your freedoms an easier target, your liberties, your future, in your life. And that's why they go to extraordinary means and measures to suppressing those of us that are giving you your lifeblood. Information, facts, data, science, and the truth. Let's deliver some truth today. In addition to what I do on the radio every Sunday from 2 to 5, and you can listen to the show live and free. Go to davejanda.com, hit the listen live button. If you miss it, part of our subscription platform are the commercial-free podcasts that we upload later that evening that are available for all of our radio shows all the way back to the inception of the show in October 2013. Or 2010. 13 years. Or what we do with our other shows, our WTF show every Wednesday, where I bring information from my sources that I've developed over 35 years forward that I cannot speak about on social media platforms or on the radio. Our Insider Insight show, where on Thursdays I bring a guest forward from behind the curtain to talk about issues again that cannot be discussed on the radio or on social media platforms. Our Department of Advanced Research show with Nick Ruiz, our healthcare policy series, our email alerts, all part, 30 cents a day. We hope you become part of our Freedom family. Today I want to speak about the tool they use and have used for many decades of stifling economic and financial freedom and therefore your life, and that is the use of the dollar. Well, the title of today's presentation is For Whom the Bell Tolls. The dollar. Remember, globalist cult scum Woodrow Wilson, who was president of the United States, in 1913 handed over the money printing capabilities from the United States government to a group of independent bankers who are not looking out for Americans or their welfare, but looking out for other banksters, and created the Federal Reserve. Since the Federal Reserve took over printing of the United States currency, the dollar, and backing it, if you will, with nothing, vapor, the buying power of the U.S. dollar has fallen by over 99%. That's not incompetence. That's not a coincidence. It's not accidental. That's purposeful. And if you want to look, they always want you looking somewhere else about what the real causes of the financial difficulty, the current financial difficulties, whatever it might be. Oh, it's a war over there. It's this, it's that. No, it's the banksters that are willfully behind this. Jim McCarthy wrote a book, The Money Spiders, The Ruination of the United States by the Federal Reserve. Here's what he said, quote, "Sneaky and underhanded, the Federal Reserve has been sucking the lifeblood out of the United States since 1913. Like a black widow spider, it weaves a web of corruption and deceit. Unknown to its prey, the public, the Fed's bite is poisonous, deep, long-lasting, and brings financial upheaval and misery to Americans," end quote. Well, there are some people around the world that are just saying no. What Nancy Reagan just saying no, are just saying no to the U.S. dollar, backed by nothing other than vapor, right? Nixon saw to that in 1971, in August of 1971, when he took us off the dollar being backed by gold. And what's only propped it up is that deal that globalist scum Henry Kissinger cut with Saudi Arabia for the petrodollar, but that's coming to an end. Because a number of these countries have realized, you know what, that's being used as a weapon against that. And people around the world became cognizant of that in March of 2022 when Il Demente, globalist cult puppet, Biden, weaponized the dollar and confiscated foreign reserve assets in dollar terms from Russia and other malcontents. And that pushed this further down the line. You see, the globalist cult's plan has always been to bring down the United States because we're the speed bump for their new world order. And their plan was to bring the United States down financially with no other alternatives present for not just Americans, but every person in the world, so that when they willfully imploded the financial buildings, sound familiar? And brought them down in a controlled demolition, well, they were going to build some new towers. And the one new tower was going to be based on the currencies of the world, of which the banksters all control, and set up a basket of these vapor currencies backed by nothing called special drawing rights, or SDRs, so that the new system would be based on that tower and another tower called central bank digital currencies. And we've talked about this for years. And people say, that's conspiracy theory about these central bank digital currencies that you're talking about. That's conspiracy theory about the SDR thing. And if that was really true, I'd hear Stuart Varney talking about it on Fox Business News, and I'd be hearing David Faber and Becky Quick and talking about it on CNBC, and Jim Cramer, that hack. Him talking about it. Stop. They're all owned by the syndicate. They're going to get you going the wrong way. Always have, always will. So the plan was, we've got to bring down the financial structure of the United States when we're ready, the banksters, when we're ready, and then conglomerate out of that chaos, create a system and have people run to us where we can actually compromise them more. Does that sound familiar of what happened over the past 3 years on another issue? Right. It's all the same playbook, folks. Well, funny thing happened on the way to the financial building takedown and controlled demolition. A number of countries said, we know what you're up to. This whole Black Widow, sneaky and underhanded Federal Reserve System, the central banks that are controlled by the banking families. And one more time with those names. It really pisses them off when I say this. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Lazards, the Pinkuses, the Warburgs, the Seifs, the Loebs. And the top of the pyramid is called from the Payseur, Payseur. I never heard of them. Of course you never heard of them. They operate not just in the shadows, man. They operate in the dark, complete dark, because it protects them. But a number of countries have said, no, we're not going there. We're setting up an alternative. And the countries that are doing this are called the BRICS countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And 41 other countries have appealed to become part of that alternative means, which is the bell tolling for the dollar. That these countries have, and I know, all these countries have globalists associated with them and in leadership positions. And in particular, Russia and China. Do I believe Putin and Xi are good guys? Heck no. They're thugs. In fact, they're card-carrying members of the globalist syndicate. It's just that I believe around the time of the Olympics in China, Putin and Xi got together and said, they want us to do these things, the Ukraine thing and the Taiwan thing. And then the banksters want to get more control. That's part of the bringing down the fight. Why should we do all that, put our countries at risk, ourselves at risk, our countrymen at risk, and not get all the spoils? I mean, we have the nukes. The feds operating through the military have nukes, but they're like, you know what? Screw Klaus Schwab. Because screw Soros. Screw the banking families above them. Let's see when I run the show. And the other countries that want to join us. And that's what's happening. So they're having this meeting August 22nd through 24th in South Africa. And many people say, well, none's going to happen. I don't know about that. In fact, I do know about that, and I think something is going to happen. Because the groundwork is being laid for a reserve currency alternative to the dollar. The bell tolling, you hear it? From William Middlecoop, a financial analyst, it's official through the Russian embassy. And July 7th was the big day. July 7th, 2023, when this announcement came out. Says that a new BRICS currency will be gold-backed. BRICS planning to introduce new trading currency backed by gold at an August summit. Gold standard will be a great benefit to strengthening that single currency. 41 other countries have applied for BRICS membership. So they trotted out Janet Yellen after consuming a bunch of psychedelic mushrooms in China after she was too busy bowing like one of those, birds that bobbleheads on a dashboard of a car. She was asked, hey, this announcement just occurred. I just want to reiterate what I've said in the past, which is I think the United States can rest assured that the dollar is going to play the dominant role in facilitating international transactions and serving as a reserve currency in the years ahead. I don't see that role being threatened by any development, including the one that you've mentioned, the BRICS common currency, end quote. This from bobblehead, globalist cult member, puppet, Janet Yellen, who also was telling you there would be no inflation. And if it would be transitory. And, right, come on. They're just trying to keep you in their paper dollar game and by trotting out their little hench people. But then we get this from Alistair McLeod, financial analyst. So remember, Ernest Hemingway wrote the book For Whom the Bell Tolls. Well, I believe the 2023 version is For Whom the Bell Tolls, the dollar, right? Alistair McLeod wrote this: the bell tolls for fiat currency, the dollar, not backed by anything other than vapor. China and Russia know that if they are to succeed in removing the dollar from their sphere of influence, they have to come up with a better alternative. They also know they have to consolidate their trade partners into a formidable bloc, so plans are afoot to consolidate BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperative Organization, and the Eurasian Economic Union, along with those nations who wish to join in. It will be a supergroup embracing most of Asia, including the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Now, you might think that's conspiracy theory, but prior to this BRICS meeting, Russia seeks to work with Africa to weaken the dollar as Putin hosts a summit of African nations. This from Zero Hedge. Talk of de-dollarization has long been in the air, particularly in the lead-up to the BRICS nations gathering in South Africa at the end of August. Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson, Maria Zakharova, and she's the real deal. She's pretty nasty. I mean, she's in your face, okay? Issued a direct provocative challenge to Washington and its dollar dominance, asserting that Moscow will work with African leaders to weaken the U.S. dollar. Zakharova's remarks denounced the United States using the dollar as a tool for global dominance and as a, quote, means of realizing its aggression, end quote. The foreign ministry comments came just ahead of the high-level summit of African leaders to be held in St. Petersburg, Russia. Folks, the dollar is going to be supplanted by a new reserve currency. And that's been the plan all along. But the syndicate, the globalist cult, planned that as this controlled demolition of the financial towers, direct correlation there, controlled demolition, that what was going to supplant the old system, the system we've all lived in, was going to be one based on their basket of currencies, SDRs, and central bank digital currencies. And I've been telling you that for years. And so have a number of the guests on my platform for years. The problem for the cult is that the BRICS countries have gone off the rails, if you will. And they've decided, you know what? We're tired of being dominated by the cultists and their paper currencies backed by nothing that they use as weapons against us. And the only way to create an alternative is to create an alternative that's backed by hard physical assets. Gold, silver, oil, natural gas, natural resources. And that's what's in the process of happening. But the takedown of the financial towers is well underway. Just as when those buildings in New York started to implode, there were announcements over the intercom system in those buildings. Stay put, stay in your offices, everything's fine. True. The towers, the financial towers in this country right now are coming down. But you have the same intercom system run by the same people. It's just you have different voices, like the people at Fox Business News and CNBS, as I call them, and the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg and Reuters telling you everything's fine, just stay in the building. There's no reason for you to seek protection. Protection being the insurance policies of gold and silver. And if you don't believe me, my family's had a 4-generational battle against the banksters and the globalist cult. And I documented that in a presentation called Dave Janda's Fight for Freedom, The Road to Freedom. It is on our website, davejanda.com, free. It's on the left-hand side, red box, just above the subscription content. I encourage you not just to watch it, but to network it, because it talks about this entire scenario and how to protect yourself. Okay? My role in medicine for decades was not only taking care of people as an orthopedic surgeon who were injured, but all of my research focused on trying to prevent people from getting injured in the first place and how to avoid danger and negative ramifications for their lives. And that's what I'm doing here. I have provided you very detailed information of how to prevent yourself from being caught in this takedown of the system. We also put it on the top of our YouTube page. It's still there, but man, are they suppressing the daylight out of it. Hard to believe, right? Many people have found it to be inspirational as well as informational. You need to watch it and then you need to share it. Because, look, They can't even hide the data anymore. And they're okay not hiding it. Because in their warped minds, these cultists, they believe, hey, you know what? We gave them information, and if they didn't take the warning, well, you know what? So they're victims. Big deal. They deserve to be victims because they didn't listen. We tried to tell them. Their data for their employment is all bogus. And then they revise it a couple months later to the downside. More than 105 million working age Americans don't have a job right now. That's not 4% that they're trying to tell you, right? Most Americans can't afford an emergency. 1 out of 3 adults in the United States cannot afford to cover a $400 emergency expense. Corporate bankruptcies reach highest levels since 2010. Folks, the buildings are coming down. And you can either listen to the cultists and their puppets on those propaganda outlets through the bought-off lamestream fake media, a tentacle of the deep state, and stay in your office and not go down the stairwell to safety. You can do that. Good luck. Or you can move off a dead center. Get out of the chair. Get out of the couch. Get out of your cubicle. Get out of your office. And go down that stairwell that's labeled freedom. Protect yourself. Look at what these other countries are doing. And take the steps to protect yourself. If you're waiting for some politician to show up or the military to show up, nope, you're done. It's up to you. And it's also up to you to help as many people as possible and have them see the light of what's really occurring. Even though YouTube and Rumble and the cultists don't want you to view this video, let alone network it, that's what you need to do. Fact. And I hope you'll come by DaveJanda.com. Tremendous amount of free public information there to inspire you, to educate you, to empower you, to get you out of harm's way. And we hope you'll become part of our freedom family. I cannot discuss much of the information I get from my contacts that I've developed over 35 years. Freedom fighters on the inside that are fighting for your freedom that you've never heard of them. But they're in there fighting for you 24/7. And they provide me information to keep you ahead of the curve. A curve that was constructed by the globalist cult that ends in a brick wall, with the shattering of your freedoms, your liberty, your life, your future, and our constitutional republic. And we provide you that off-ramp to freedom. I hope you take advantage of it. It's there for you. But it means you can't sit on the couch. You actively have to do something. And I try to make it as easy as possible for you. One of the biggest frustrations I had as a physician is patients who we'd outline. Here's the problem. Here are your options. What option would you like to go with? And they choose an option. And then they come back. And I'd say, okay, this is the option that we outline all your options for you. Last time you were here, you chose option B. You decided you didn't want to do A or C or D, but you chose B. Fair enough. Well, how are you doing? I'm not doing much better. Well, option B consisted of you doing 1, 2, and 3. Did you do 1? No. Did you do 2? No. Did you do 3? No. So the 3 things that you were supposed to do, you didn't do, and then you wonder why you're not better. And at this point, what I would do is I would stand up. I'd ask the patient to stand up. And we have a full-length mirror in every exam. And I'd say, please come here. I'd put my arm around them, and I'd stand them in front of that mirror. And I would say the following. Who are you looking at? They kind of look at me like, what? I go, who are you looking at? What? I go, well, let me help you. Let me tell you who you're looking at. You're looking at your own worst enemy. You're looking at someone who's not willing to take the necessary steps to help themselves. And I tell them, you have two options. One, to stop listening to that person you see in the mirror and to start doing something. Or two, to keep listening to that person. And if you decide to take that option, I wish you the best. Because you coming here after having done nothing is a waste of your time and my time. Well, here we are again. If you don't do anything, stop coming here. It's a waste of your time. We only want people here who care about themselves and care about others to the point where they're willing to do something. Because that's what life is all about. Not doing nothing, but doing something to further yourself, to further your friends and family, and to further society. This is an action-based platform, and so is my website. Fact. I thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you back. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.